Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine has killed thousands, destabilized the entire region, fueled an energy crisis and subsequent recession in Europe, caused grain shortage and food uncertainty in Africa, and now has forced NATO to give weapons to Ukrainians under siege from Russia's aggression. Putin wants to take all Ukraine and make it part of the Russian Empire again. Vladimir Zelensky only wants freedom and peace for the people of Ukraine. We must do what is right, support a country being invaded. The people of Ukraine need our help. This is how the Western media and America's government sells the story. Look, Putin is a dictator and is attacking Ukraine unprovoked in order to conquer it. He's going to take all its resources. While they're distracting the public by pointing the finger at Putin and Russia, the real thieves are busy at work on a plan to bring Ukraine to its knees and turn its citizens into serfs. Most people are generally good. They want to help others. And that is exactly how America and its corporate masters have achieved support to the horrific yet well-orchestrated plan. Make Russia into the pariah and Ukraine into the victim that needs saving. On March 4, 2022, in the early days of this conflict, then Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett traveled to Ukraine to try to mediate peace between Russia and Ukraine. He said both countries were willing to make major concessions and end hostilities. Peace was about to become a reality, but his attempt at peace was rejected by America. Also, at the end of May last year, former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson traveled to Kiev and informed Vladimir Zelensky that, and I quote, "Putin is a criminal. It should not be dealt with. He should not be negotiated with, only pressured. Even if Ukraine is ready to sign agreements and guarantees with Russia, NATO is not," unquote. These are the heads of state saying this. How many lives could have been saved if America and NATO had allowed Russia and Ukraine to sign negotiation that both sides were willing to agree with almost a year ago? But the U.S. weapon manufacturers hadn't made their money yet, and the main criminal, the U.S. corporations, had their eyes set on extracting money and resources from Ukraine. Zelensky met with BlackRock, an American corporation, about rebuilding, privatizing Ukraine. This war is about destabilization of Russia and privatization of Ukraine. Deals corporations require before agreeing to reconstruction. Corporations take control of public commodities. BlackRock, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs. But before these financial giants will agree to give money to a country like Ukraine, they require the government to make concessions to make it easier to turn the workers into wage slaves and plunder the country's resources. Trade unions, illegal. Deregulation, open the markets, drop tariffs, cut labor laws, sell state-owned industries. Of course, these state-owned industries, like railroad, for example, were built with public money. In order to take advantage of Ukraine's post-war economy, a corporation, BlackRock in this case, will be in charge of coordinating the policies, the economy, and the politics of Ukraine. Let that sink in for a minute. A corporation whose only business, whose only goal is to make profit, is running a country. Ukraine will become a colony run by the same corporations and banks that control America. We already knew Zelensky cared more about himself and power than the people of Ukraine. He outlawed trade unions, banned certain religions, blocked oppositional political parties, and used Ukrainians as expendables for his political gain. This was before the conflict. Now he is literally selling Ukraine's resources piece by piece to the highest bidder while sentencing working Ukrainians into debt slavery to American corporations while he and his cronies enrich themselves. This is the same guy that American government gave a standing ovation to. He sells his country and his countrymen to foreigners for money. Next time you see Zelensky on TV telling NATO they need to send more weapons to Ukraine, you will understand it isn't to protect Ukrainians, but instead to prolong this war, causing more devastation to increase profits during the rebuilding of this country. You only need to look at the actions of America to understand this horrific plan. Destabilize Ukraine, the CIA-led coup in 2014 and ensuing civil war. Weaponize Ukraine. Provoke Russia. Promise NATO membership to Ukraine. Attack Donbass. Create a threat, Russia, and a victim that needs saving, Ukraine. Now there will be some dissent, countries not wanting to sacrifice the well-being of their citizens for America and its corporations. You got to break that descent. America dealt with non-cooperation by European countries by destroying the Nord 2 pipeline and becoming Europe's energy supplier. Make a financial deal with the government in victim country, Ukraine, for reconstruction benefiting the large corporation and banks. This is the plan. For those who say this is a conspiracy theory, it's impossible because all this is happening right before our eyes. America and NATO have already practiced perfecting this formula in Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. Destabilize a country, war, make reconstruction contacts with neoliberal policies to bring a country to its knees, essentially a colony to provide corporations money, to provide America with money. Political activists and humanitarians in America condemn BlackRock for its unethical practices in the housing industry. BlackRock is one of the leading corporations with ties to Ukraine. At a time when many Americans are struggling with record inflation, job insecurity, and high housing prices, BlackRock goes into U.S. neighborhoods, buys up all the homes, and then turns them into high-end expensive rental units, in essence pricing out many Americans out of being able to afford a place to live. They are accused of contributing to the housing crisis in America. Now, BlackRock, this same BlackRock, just made a financial agreement with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. They received your tax dollars to simultaneously destroy Ukraine and then sign contracts to rebuild it. With the money they are making from this war, they then go to America, buy up affordable housing, making it more difficult for working class Americans to have a roof over their heads. Russia launched its special military operation to save the people of Donbass and to protect its own people from an existential threat. But America and its corporate owners started this conflict in 2014 and continue to escalate it to profit off the suffering of Russians and Ukrainians alike.